started. So we're going to unpack, first off, how to make your weight loss dreams come true. The whole goal, and really this can be applied to any dream that you have. But since we're talking about weight loss, we're going to make this very relevant to us. We're going to unpack James 14 through 19. So James chapter 2, verses 14 through 19. If you've got your scripture, read along. If you do not, that's okay. I will read it. All right, so James 2, verses 14 through 19. What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, "Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if not accompanied by actions, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith, I have deeds." I'll say then, "Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do." You believe that there is one God. Great. Even demons believe that and shudder. So this is really chunked out for me in two parts as it applies to the journey. But before we can get to how it applies, let's discuss what it actually applies to. And this is, for me, not just in my life and with all the people I've worked with, but this also goes to all the people I've studied. Because the most brilliant and capable and successful people you meet will tell you they're not that brilliant and they've only become capable by learning from people who are more intelligent from them. I've accomplished a lot. That's great. I've learned so much more from others than I've ever accomplished or ever will. And so by studying the lives of people who have accomplished great things and applying it to my life, I've realized that there's literally just one big difference. Maybe we call it a secret, we can call it whatever, but there's one big thing that separates those who are successful from those who flounder in frustration. And it is this: those who are successful, they will dream about what they want. They will claim that they actually want that. And then they will plan and then work backwards. So those who are successful will say, well, what is possible? So take weight loss, for example. What is your wildest weight loss dream? That's where it starts. Then you have to decide, do I really, really want that? And what I mean by that is this. So someone might say, I want to have the sexiest body ever. But when you start to break it down, you might realize that you don't necessarily want the sexiest body ever. You just want to feel good in your own skin. And then once you have what that actual want is, you can then start making the plan. So for me, let's take me for example. When I initially started, I wanted to be crazy sexy because I wanted to spite all the people who made fun of me for being the redheaded stepchild. Irony, because I have red hair. But then as I got to the actual process, I realized I didn't really want to be sexy. I just wanted to be happy with who I was, which ironically is my definition of sexy. But anyways, another story for another time. And I came to the realization that for me, being content with who I was meant a few things. One, it meant that I was actually doing things that were in alignment with what I truly believed. I believe Jesus is real. I believe that Jesus teaches a lot of good things. So I'm going to have to make sure that my life is in accordance to those. And it streams in a lot of the things we talk about, right? Like the prodigal waistline theory. You've got to have balance in your life. So for me, having the balance in my life of doing something, but also not being a slave to the system is important. Also, love your neighbors as yourself. That whole mentality of, would I say things about me that I'd never say to my neighbor? Well, if the answer is no, then I'm not going to have that type of self-hatred. And so by starting with the dream and then understanding what I really want from that dream, I could then make a plan. And so then for Jeremy, what does it take for contentment? Well, it takes being active. So I look at it through the lens of science. 30 minutes a day, maybe more. I enjoy hockey. So for me, playing hockey keeps me active and it's a win-win. Also, not overeating. And I think this is important because when you have the perspective of the concept of not overdoing it, that doesn't mean neglect. That doesn't mean we're putting a ban on cookies. You must quarantine yourself from the carbs. Like, no, what it means is that you don't overdo it. You can do it, but you don't overdo it. So having the grace to understand that a cookie is okay, but much like Tara said with the cake, like, how am I going to feel 5 minutes from this? And for me, with a lot of sugary, high-fat foods, like I'm going to feel jittery and I'm getting older. So for some reason, red meat's giving me heartburn. Thanks, age. And so like the idea of having this amazing cheeseburger while in my 20s, pretty alluring. But now I'm getting into my 30s and it's like, I don't want to be burping for 4 hours. And all of a sudden I'm realizing like, hold on, I can do it. I don't need to overdo it. And so I started making this plan of what does balance look like? What does success look like? And then once I made that plan, it's literally as simple as all I gotta do is execute. It becomes mindless at that point. Like, make the plan, do the plan. And all of a sudden, a day of success turns into a week of success. And a week of success turns into a month of success. And a month of success turns into a year of success. And then 15 years later, wearing the shirt that I bought in 2007, because it still fits, all of a sudden it's like, wow, this ethericalness of weight loss complication is actually pretty simple. And it's the same way with life. Let's say you want to make $100,000. Okay, I want to make $100,000. I want to be rich. Well, what does that look like? Well, I actually just want my bills paid for. Okay, well, you can live comfortably off 60. Well, great. Let's start there. What do I have to do to make $60,000? Well, you would have to have X amount of certifications. Okay, do I have those? No. Okay, cool. Can I get those? Yes, great. That's the next step. I'm going to get those certifications or that education. And then all of a sudden, you have this brick by brick by brick until all of a sudden you've built these steps to success. Now, this is the same thing that all successful people do. They have a dream. They then ask themselves, what about that dream do I really want? It's using the money analogy. I want to be rich. Most people don't want to be rich. What they really want is financial freedom. What does financial freedom look like? It looks like this. Great. That's what we actually want. Now, how do we get there? Transverse this, though. What does the life of the perpetually stuck and unfulfilled look like? Unfortunately, they'll have a dream. Then they'll define their wants. Oh, this is very similar. But what's the biggest difference between those who succeed and those who long? Those who long hope that it happens. They never make a plan, and if they do make a plan, they never actually follow it. They hope that their dreams happen, as if by some etherical tooth fairy-esque being will just come with a little, merp, you're rich. Merp, you've lost weight. Merp, you X, Y, and Z. And so most people, unfortunately, they have the dream, they have the want, but rather than making the plan and systematically saying, these are the things I need to do on a weekly, daily, hourly basis to get there, rather than do that, those who long simply hope. How does this play out with weight loss for most people? I want to lose weight. Awesome. Do you really want to? Yes, I'm going to invest in a gym or a personal trainer Or Whole Foods. Awesome. What's your plan to go to the gym? Well, I don't know. Tomorrow's busy, so I hope I find time. Oh, okay. How's your meal plan look? I hope I can get my greens in. I hope I can get enough vegetables in. Oh, okay. Well, what would keep you from doing it? I hope that I have enough willpower today. Well, to do what? Why don't you just make a plan? And so what ends up happening is that critical difference of changing the plan for the hope is, on one hand, you relieve yourself of the responsibility of following through, but sadly, you relieve yourself of the clear path of how to also get exactly what you want. And so rather than taking on that responsibility of controlling what you can control, you hope. And when life gets in the way, because we've allowed it to by not making a plan, what happens? We rationalize. Weight loss just isn't for me. Or we compare. Susie can do it because she's a stay-at-home mom and all she has to do is work out on her booty for 3 hours a day. And every other excuse that you want to put in. And please understand that I'm not coming from this from a situation of hierarchy. I'm coming at this from saying it is an excuse, because if it's your dream and if you really want it, why wouldn't you want to know how to get there? And if you know how to get there, why wouldn't you want to make it as easy as possible? That's what makes this so complicated, is we're always chasing something instead of making a plan. But if we make that plan and we tell our time what we're doing with it, then we don't become a victim of our clock, and we don't become a victim of our priorities, and we don't become a victim of all the things that are pulling us from every direction. We're in control. Now, some might say, I hate a plan because ain't no one gonna tell me what to do. That's ironically the exact opposite of a plan, because a plan is you telling your life what you're gonna do with it. So it's very ironic when you resist the concept of making a plan, because it's the utmost of you being in control. And that's really where the difference comes in. Is, are we hoping for our dreams and goals? Or are we saying, I'm going to do everything that is within my power to make sure that I get there? And if you don't know what that looks like, you've made your first plan. I'm going to plan to learn what it takes to get the dream that I want. And this applies honestly with anything. I'm just keeping it in the weight loss lane because that's what I know best. But if we take it out of that for a second, I want to be a speaker. Great. Why do you want to speak? Because I want to be on stage. Awesome. What does that take? Well, I have to find people who want to hear my message. I have to know what my message is. I have to write a speech that is coinciding with my message. Then I have to find those people who have the, and all of a sudden you start making this list of things that you need to do that are very simple, sometimes not easy, but simple next steps. And by doing that, we're clearing away the clutter and the frustration that typically winds us up at the end of the week going, I don't even know what happened. Like, this week just hit me like a dang freight train. Well, it did, because you said, I don't want to really have any control because I'm not going to make a plan. But if you really want something enough to call it a dream, don't you owe it to yourself to do everything you can to achieve it? And if you don't know what to do to get there, wouldn't it make the most sense to learn what it would take to get there? And truly, that mentality is the secret to just achieving anything you want. Because everyone has dreams. Everyone has wants. The bridge to get there, though, is the action steps that we'll actually require. And here's where I will say defines the most successful people. So this is the template that successful people use. But here's what I think makes them successful for life. In taking that step-by-step journey, you learn things about yourself that you never would. I'll use myself for example. Jeremy wants to be sexy. No, what Jeremy really needs to do is he needs to stop making his body an idol. He needs to stop giving people in sixth grade who wouldn't dance with him the authority that they have in their life. And he needs to understand what actually makes him happy. But I never would have learned that about myself if I didn't say, well, let's take this journey and see what happens. Let's take what it looks like to actually start exercising and to get that awkward man underboob sweat every now and then. And also realize that it doesn't matter. But the people who are willing to actually take that journey to go from I want this to I'm achieving this, that journey is really what defines the success. Because not only do you learn so much about yourself, but you also learn what success really is. Because if we come back to the money analogy, maybe you actually won $100,000 and you realize in the process, it's a lot easier to make it than you thought. But $35,000 a year you doesn't understand the difference in that pay gap because you're hoping for a lottery ticket or you're hoping for someone to find you on ZipRecruiter. But $35,000 you who says, I'm going to do everything I can because I'm worth six figures and I'm going to take those steps. Well, you get to realize in the journey just how smart you are, just how capable you are, just how much luck doesn't actually apply, or ironically, the more harder you work, the luckier you get. But you never learn these things if you never take the journey, and you never really take the journey if you never plan. So wrapping this holistically up in terms of James, we all have faith. The faith is the dream. The faith is we can get there. But the works is actually saying, what will it take to get there? You can't have one without the other. And those who are perpetually stuck, they're real good at the dream and they're real good at having faith. But the work is where it starts to fall short because there's some disconnect that work has to be terrible. Work has to suck. For me, what I love most about going on the journey is learning about myself because I spent so much time as overweight Jeremy that I didn't understand for a while who just Jeremy was. And I think we do that quite often with labels. I'm this person because I've been told I'm this person. I'm this person because this trauma made me this way. I'm this person because my family was this way. I'm this person because my faith says I'm this way. But don't you just want to know who you are? Like who you, just you. No label, no pretense, just me, child of God. What does the Bible say I am? And what does God want for my life? I feel we all deserve that to ourselves. But unless we're willing to take that journey, we never find that. And that's a shame. Because to me, that's where true success begins. Being able to be comfortable with who you are and yourself, controlling all that you can control, and then taking the steps to make it better. And that's the difference. If you're constantly having faith without works, you're hoping for a day that probably will never come. But if you're putting the works to your faith, you're taking the active process to go forth and do what God has called you to do. And I don't want to cross-reference, but like you look at a lot of the miracles, right? Like Jesus fed 5,000, someone still had to show up with a fish. Jesus raised Lazarus, still had to roll away the tomb, people still had to show up. In so many miracles, there was still some human effort. This is no difference. For me, I call it the James effect. Dream so big that you need God to make it possible. But that doesn't absolve you of the effort it takes to start. And that is the difference. That is the secret to success. One small difference. We all dream, we all want, but those who get, they plan for it, they know what they have to do, and they learn the journey in the process. Those who stay perpetually stuck and frustrated and rationalize why they're not worth it, or they're not smart enough, or they're not whatever, it's because they stay in the hope model, and they only hope. They never plan, they never progress, they just hope. And that's a shame, because your hope has already been fulfilled. That's where the faith is. But now it's time for works. So also, if you want to throw on some Jesus guilt, but you don't have to. But if we go to 19, you believe that there is one God, even the demons believe that and shudder. Like, even the demons have faith. They acknowledge God. But they're probably hoping that somehow Satan will win, and God's like, no, the blood of Christ got y'all won. So I don't want to be a demon in this equation. I want to be someone who has the faith, who puts in the work, and ultimately at the end of the day can stand before the throne of God and get that well done, good and faithful servant, because I did everything that was in front of me that I knew it can control. And that's my hope for you. That is my hope. That, see, I can't control it. You're going to do this. So it's a hope for me. It is my hope that you'll take this and you'll understand that faith plus works is the true secret. If you have one without the other, something's going to be amiss. So holistically, this is the secret. And if you do this, come back to me in a year. Tell me what you've accomplished. I guarantee you it'll be way more than you ever thought was possible. Come back to me in a year if you haven't accomplished those dreams, and we can compare notes. How much hope did you did versus how much planning and execution did you do? It's that simple. I'm not specialer than anyone. Mark Cuban's not specialer than anyone. Jay-Z, minus his lyrical ability, not specialer than anyone. The difference, they executed. So if you want something, go get it. And have faith that God's going to lead you to where he wants you to, because he will. That's what God does. So let God be God. Let you be you. Let us all come together as the body and pray.